Special thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. How are you all doing tonight? My name is Bigbobbedboi and welcome. So phase 2 kind of failed, but phase 3 could turn it around. So I'm not saying phase 2 was a dumpster fire. It wasn't. It was not 100% bad. There were a few things that did work. I'm not dooming, and I don't think SoD is dying. That's not what this video is. But we need to focus on a lot of what didn't work and needs to improve. We'll cover where phase 2 failed, where phase 3 can succeed, and maybe the secret alternative route Blizzard was taking all along. Where P2 failed. To me, the biggest problem P2 had was Gnomer. Yeah, I was super pumped for Gnomer. I even made a video about how good it would be because I was just so pumped. I was kind of wrong. I stayed up for, nearly 60 hours at P2 launch just to immediately run Gnomer. My plan was to make a video about how good Gnomer was in those first few days. As I was running Gnomer for that first time, by about the third boss, I knew I wasn't going to make that video. Gnomer failed on pretty much all fronts, except for the gear token. That's actually not bad. So how did Gnomer fail on all fronts? Well, the BFD raid took a mid dungeon and made it better. Gnomer raid took the Gnomer dungeon and just changed shit without any real improvements. In a lot of ways, it's worse. There's no backdoor. They didn't really do anything with the clean zone or the stuff outside of the raid. There aren't any more bosses, although Blizz likes to say there's one more. Speaking of the bosses, let's go over those because, yeah, they're not great. Grubbus is awful. Why did someone in 2024 think this was a good boss design? There isn't a single person alive that enjoys a good wait boss, because that's what this boss fight is. Just wait. Wait for it to start. Wait for Trogs to spawn. Wait for Grubbus to spawn. Just bad. Viscous is nothing special, but it's kind of inoffensive. He patrols around a bunch of trash, which is annoying. He spawns pools on the ground and a few ads, but it's kind of boring but inoffensive. Crowd Pummeler is literally just a worse version of Titan, and I did that fight about 10 years ago. Electrocutioner is nothing special either, but it's one of the better bosses. The mechanics are something that at least feels kind of at home in a classic WoW setting. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Menagerie is my favorite fight in the raid, and it's not very good. Some of the mechanics are strangely cryptic, but I can at least appreciate that there's a lot going on, and I like that it can get pretty hectic. Thermoplug is awful. Well, the start of Thermoplug is awful. Why spawn the boss immediately after the previous one dies? That is damn near trolling, and it's extremely buggy too. I've had it bug out and the boss just not reset. The gate won't open, and if you teleport from the clean zone, you just die. Brilliant. The actual fight though, it's fine. Maybe one less phase would have been better, but honestly, it's not terrible for the last boss of a level 40 raid. Most people I talk to do not like Gnomer, but there is a select few people who tell me they actually do like Gnomer. When I ask why, they don't have much of an answer. If you liked Gnomer, please let me know in the comments and tell me specifically why you liked it. I found very few redeeming qualities about the raid. The loot was probably the best thing about it. There were some neat items, there were a lot of items, and I was glad to see them bring in that green fluorescent Meccano Strider. But in totality, Gnomer was a huge letdown. I'd rather have fun bosses and worse loot. Runes. Wow, we had some really boring runes this phase. I think Warrior had it worst. 2 runes for Slam, both making it instant cast. Wow, Blizzard's creativity is unmatched. Hunter had some terrible runes as well, like, what is this version of Steady Shot? It's absolute ass, that's what it is. There were a few good runes this phase, but I would say the majority of them were terrible, while also not fixing most of the bad ones from previous phases. What is the point of Life Bloom and Living Seed? Come on, Blizz. War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game of all time, is available now for free on PC and consoles. In War Thunder, you can command over 2,500 ships, helicopters, planes, and tanks of 10 major nations, from biplanes and armored cars of the early 20th century to modern fighter jets and battle tanks. Immerse yourself in the intensely extreme combat of War Thunder, highly detailed vehicles, top-notch graphics, and authentic sound effects. Put you in control of these powerful war machines. Very nice. War Thunder has a worldwide community of over 70 million players, and you can take them on in heated PvP battles. With so much excellent content to enjoy, War Thunder is the game for fans of military history, like myself. I did just do a Mark Felton intro on a recent video, so you know I enjoy my military history. One of my favorite parts about War Thunder is how damage is tracked and shown. Each vehicle is painstakingly recreated in-game, just like the original, down to even individual components, your crew, your engines, fuel tanks, and all of them are susceptible to damage or being disabled by enemy fire. And that's where the X-ray view comes in. One of the coolest ways to show the sheer destruction of these powerful vehicles ever conceived by human minds. When a vehicle is destroyed with X-ray view, you can see exactly where it was hit, what parts of your vehicle were affected, and how it was ultimately destroyed. Glorious. You can play War Thunder right now for free on PC, PlayStation, and even Xbox. Just use that link in the description or pinned comment. New players or returning players that haven't played in 6 months will receive the immensely sized bonus pack across all platforms, which includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account time. But it's only available for a limited time, so you need to be quick. Massive thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. And the final thing that really hurt P2 was the lack of content. We did not get much new content. If you think about it, we got Gnomer, okay, the STV PvP event, which, yeah, that was a thing. It wasn't great, but I can at least kind of see what they were going for there, because it's usually absolutely terrible, not a good time. But if things are going just right, it can be fun. This is one of those things, if they just put the time in to refine it, I think it actually could be pretty fun. And actually, that's it. That's basically all we got. There was the new quest for the sleeping bag, okay. Rune acquisition, yeah, that was not a thing. Every class had 2 runes that followed the exact same quest line. What the shit is that? In P1, we had cool quest lines for runes like Rogues level 21, and I'm not even going to cover what that Maelstrom weapon rune was. That was ridiculous. Then there was vanilla content that we got at level 40, which, you know, at least there is SM. SM is always a fun time, well, until you ran it like 100 times. But the first half of Ultiman, that's kind of gross. Razorfen Downs is an alright dungeon, I enjoy it, but that's like, what, 1 or 2 runs for some previs and you're done with it? I don't watch a lot of WoW content lately, but I did see a video where someone was praising the devs for all the content we got in SoD. Bro, you were out of your goddamn mind. SoD is not getting that much content in these phase patches. Just for fun, I went and read the patch notes for FF14's patch 2.3. It was a while ago, but I have some good memories of that patch. It had new story quests. I remember there being, I don't know, 6 hours of content, a 24-player raid with gear for each job, obviously, multiple new side story quest lines, not individual quests, multiple quest lines, 3 new dungeons, a new trial, which is kind of like an Ixia style fight, treasure maps, which you get a little boss that spawns and you get loot from it, and you find the treasure maps when you're doing gathering professions. It's kind of cool. Housing got private rooms, chocobo raising, a new daily quest hub, and a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's actually really long. This patch, patch 2.3, came out on July 7th. Patch 2.2 came out March 26th. That's just slightly over 3 months. I think it's 101 days. That is an insane amount of content for a 3-month patch. The content we're getting in SoD is generously 5% of this. And that's a very generous 5%. I'm not exaggerating. FF14 is not WoW, and I know that. I don't want WoW to be FF14. And the SoD dev team is obviously way smaller than FF14. But to say that we're getting a lot of content in SoD is batshit insane. No, it's even worse than that. It's like, what's bigger than a bat? Pterodactyl shit insane. The SoD content doesn't even have any new assets. It's all the same stuff from Classic. Although Wowhead has data mined a few supposedly new weapon models, really, most of them are just recolors. I mean, if you think about it, there are private servers putting out more content faster than this. There is no excuse for this little amount of content. Okay, that was bleak, but it's not all bad. I think Phase 3 can fix some, if not all, of these issues. Where Phase 3 can succeed. The Raid ST. I think ST can be way better than Gnomer. First, I'm gonna say it. Trolls are cool AF. I'm over gnomes now. I barely even played my mage. The 3-day lockout is done, and 10-man raids are done. ST is going to be a 1-week lockout and a 20-man raid. They said they're doing this because the content will be relevant later and it'd be too unwieldy with irregular lockout timers. Okay, so I guess we're going to be doing this at level 60. I'm down for this. I don't mind 10-man raids at all, but Classic had big raids, and I'm down to move on towards that again. ST was also just a more impactful dungeon in Classic. Remember the 50 class quests? Apparently, they'll be updated for this. That's awesome. And honestly, that already sounds cooler than anything Gnomer had. Although, I hope the Flask set isn't a thing again. It's going to have 8 bosses. That's more than Gnomer once again. Compared to the original, it's kind of hard to say. You have pairs of bosses in ST, but they're barely bosses. And the bosses at the top of the ring, are they really bosses? They drop boss loot? But 8 in the raid, that sounds like a good amount to me. Plus, thinking about it, ST already had way cooler items than original Gnomer anyway, like Dragon's Call and Serpent's Embrace. I always wanted Dragon's Call, really cool sword. And Wowhead just data mined most of the ST loot. Nice. It's not all of it. There is a set, and we don't have all the items from that set. Now, looking over this, it's very, very similar to what we had in Gnomer, which is great because that was probably the best part about Gnomer. Sets are going to have some class restrictions for some reason. Not sure why they're doing that, but there's actually a lot of cool new items here. Seems like they've done a good job overall. I mean, there is an epic Dragon's Call. You know, that's what I wanted. My main hope, though, is since this is going to be 20-man and a 1-week lockout, they're going to make it, I guess, grander in scale. Gnomer and BFD were tiny raids. They made the Gnomer raid smaller than the Gnomer dungeon. Let's make raids feel a bit more epic, okay? Runes. Okay, they previewed new runes, and all of these had already been data mined. It's kind of a mixed bag. I can't really say it's going to be better than Phase 2, but it really needs to be. I'm not going to cover all the new ones here. They're, again, mostly the same ones that were data mined before, and we covered them back then. There are a few cool ones, though, like Honor Among Thieves. I've always loved this ability. And the one for Affliction Lock. Seems kind of fun. Shamans get Riptide, which is an awesome spell, but we do have to keep in mind, Steady Shot was originally an awesome ability. And the version we got for an SoD rune is awful. The new Hunter ones are, Focus Fire is kind of cool, I guess. But Hunter, Jesus, where you at, man? Although it does look like Hunter might get to tame Corehounds, and possibly even other new pets. The demon thing feels more Warlock, if I had to say. Maybe Warlocks will be able to get a new demon pet? That would be really nice, actually. But even if these are the runes we do get, there is something else they really need to do when it comes to runes. Fix the runes we have now. There are so many shit ones like Steady Shot and Invigoration for Hunters, Living Seed, half the Warrior runes. Honestly, there's a ton of runes we already have that are shit and really need a good rework. Now, there actually is a little bit of positive news on that front. There was some data mined info where they were tweaking quite a few of the old runes. Nothing concrete, but they are at least still working on that. And what about the lack of content? Again, it's actually looking positive. We should be getting a better raid. No guaranteed, but it's looking good. There are more good dungeons to do at 50, ZF, Maraudin, and even BRD. There was some talk about heroics, mainly it showed up in a survey. That doesn't mean anything. I had one of those surveys ask me if I would be interested in a Warcraft fighting game. Which, hell yeah, that sounds like dope shit. Imagine a WoW fighting game playing as Arthas or Illidan. Yes, I need that. It'd definitely be better than Warcraft Rumble. Gross. Did you know this game already released? Why does this exist? What is this art style? Who wanted this? Who is this for? If heroics or something like heroics are going to show up, I think that would be at 60, and I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing. Having a daily dungeon in SoD that goes through a heroic version of classic dungeons, that actually might work. And they did announce Nightmare Incursions, which it is content, technically, I guess. However, I can't really say this is going to be good. You can get XP from it, and it can be done from level 25 and up, so that sounds kind of cool. But what you're actually doing is a bit unclear other than, well, killing mobs. But it is new content that's not a PvP event, which is great. You can take a break from making PvP events, Blizz. No one is going to mind. They are making changes though to Blood Moon and adding new rewards to it for some reason. So I guess they do want you to continue doing that. And, you know, if they improve it, that would be great. Well, I have been a little hard on them. There is one big thing I do have to give the SoD team credit for. Everyone expected P3 to come in mid-April at the earliest, more likely late April. And a surprise early release of April 4th, that is actually really good. The timing is suspiciously good. I was just thinking, I'm done with Gnomer, I'm not doing this shit ever again. And then they announced P3. Making these phases shorter does make the lack of content a bit more tolerable. The only problem is, well, P2 had longer dev time, didn't have a lot of content, and had a lot of bugs. Are they going to have even more bugs with less time? I don't know. I hope not. Alright, what's that secret alternate route I was talking about? The alternative dead route banking on people moving to Kata. Let's think about this. Right now, there's a lot of different versions of WoW. You've got Rumble. Alright, just kidding. You've got Retail, Classic Wrath, moving into Kata, Hardcore, which just got self-found, SoD, and kind of Plunderstorm. That is 5 ways to play WoW. Maybe SoD is meant to be the dad version of WoW. It's going to be a slower paced, fairly easy version of WoW. With all these versions of WoW out there, maybe they're expecting the hardcore players to only be on SoD for a while, then move on to Kata or Retail or Plunderstorm, then back to SoD for a little bit when another phase drops. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and I'm not positive this is the case. But I have noticed a lot of casual players out there advocating for SoD to be that type of game. They want Dad WoW. What do you think? Am I out of my mind? Is SoD going to be Dad WoW? Are we all going to be drinking Dad water? Alright, that pineapple jalapeno flavor is actually pretty good. I am down for some Dad water. Once again, I have to thank War Thunder for sponsoring this video. They are a massive supporter of the channel and have helped out a lot. Use that link in the pinned comment or description to get your girthy bonus pack for new and returning players that haven't played in 6 months. I've been playing on PlayStation. I just love that PS5 controller. Maybe you'll run into me. And you might be wondering, where have you been, Bigbobbedboi? What happened to the ranged guide for P2? You know, I actually really didn't take that much time off from making videos. I was working on that guide for a long ass time. And I don't know, I just wasn't happy with it, so I never released it. I spent a lot of time on it and just couldn't get it to a place where I thought it should be. It definitely wasn't anything compared to, say, my TBC guides. I was very happy with those. And now that we're almost to P3, it'd kind of be worthless. That one really derailed me, unfortunately. I will definitely try to get out a ranged and melee guide during early P3, but I want you to tell me what videos you're especially interested in seeing for P3. You might have some ideas that I haven't even thought of. I hope you liked this video because I'm going hard over here. We did hit 20k subs. That is much appreciated. So if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button, subscribe button, give me better runes for P3 button, all that other shit. I appreciate each and every one I get. Like, for real, I actually do. But that is going to be all for this one. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all for the next one.